Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salam ala Sayyidil Anbiya'i wal Mursaleen wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا نخاف من ربنا يوما عبوسا قمطريرا فوقاهم الله شر ذلك اليوم ولقاهم نظرة سرورا. Ayahs number 10 and 11 of Surah Insaan today. But before that, how are you, girls? How's it going? It's nice on Sundays you show up too, so that we can maintain continuity. I know yesterday we had to give a gap, but that's okay. We are doing 2 ayahs sometimes in a day, so that will help us still finish the surah in time, inshallah. Okay, so without taking any more time, let's get started with today's ayahs. SubhanAllah, very beautiful ayahs. And the way it translates is ayah number 10. Inna nakhafu min rabbina yawman abusan qamtarira. Inna nakhafu. Who is this inna? Yani we fear. Who are the we? Can anyone tell me who the we are? Coming from, yes, Tahira.
Is it al-abrar?
Al-abrar, exactly. We're talking about the al-abrar, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning the characteristics of al-abrar, right? And now ayah number 10 lists the same. What we spoke about before ayah number 10 was, in ayah number 9, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this surah mentions, inna nut'imukum liwajhillahi. We feed only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? La nuridu minkum jaza'an wala shukura. We don't expect from you any kind of compensation, any kind of reward, any kind of name on a plaque or anything like a banner put out there with our name, or that it be posted everywhere how much we donated. We don't expect any of that. Neither do we expect a thank you or or any sign of gratitude, right? We do it only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, why? What motivates them, or what keeps them in check? What do you think keeps them in check? These people in check, where, you know, they're like, it's okay. I don't expect anything from you. Whatever I've done it only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in order to make sure that the deeds are counted. That's the way it should be done. But what do you think is keeping these people in check?
I guess like the final goal, like they know what they really want, like Jannah, and so they're like, I'm going to work for that no matter what.
That's very good. For some people, like, you know, they're self-motivated, right? So they know what their goal is, what the big goal is, and they progress towards that. But is everybody like that, Asma? So what about
fear?
Those people? Say it again.
Fear.
Fear of what?
Of
being held
punishment.
accountable.
Fear of punishment. What did you say, Tahira?
Being held accountable.
Being held accountable, exactly. So the kind of people Asma spoke about, like, you know, the people they take initiative on their own, they have self-motivation, and they progress towards their path. Those are a different breed of people, right? Now, the people that majority of humanity is made up of is, they need to be pushed. Okay, they need to be pushed. Now, before we have a discussion on that, the surah mentions the reason for these people. What do they say? Inna nakhafu yawman, inna nakhafu min rabbina. We fear our Rabb. Okay, we fear our Rabb on the day, yawman, of the day, yawman abusan qamtarira. Qamtarira means shadid, yani incredible, immense, extreme. Okay, so the meaning of qamtarira is immense, severe, okay, extreme. And abusan means sadness that shows on your face. It shows on your like it's very apparent. If anyone sees, they know like what's going on with you. Okay, so there's that fear operates. Okay, that fear operates within them, and that's what keeps them moving. So now I'm going to make a statement where the line of thinking is that fear can motivate us, okay, to change our behavior. So in that sense, fear can be a positive thing. Can you give me an example? Do you agree with it first and foremost? Do you agree with the statement that fear can be a motivator for positive change? Do you agree with it? And then if you agree with it, give me an example. Give me an example.
Like in today's time, like COVID-19, it's making people stay at home and like quarantine and stuff, but they're also making other changes to their life, like religious changes, like health changes. Like they're changing a lot of stuff, and some of that stuff is really good for them. They're reaching out with family and stuff.
People are eating more healthy now, right? In order to build their immunity. For example, if you don't have the fear of a heart attack, right? The fear of a heart attack will force you to change your diet, and it will force you to exercise, right? The fear of becoming poor, right? The fear of becoming poor, it will force you to change your spending habits. So fear can be a positive thing, especially for us. That is very needed. So when people say, what this ayah is saying, that the fear of that day, right, that when sadness will be so extreme, it will be so severe, it's the fear of standing in front of our Rabb on that day that motivates us. Some people may be like, why do I have to be scared of Allah? Or why does Allah have to scare me? The reality of our existence is that if someone were to just it is never possible, or it never can be successful, or we can never be effective and productive if someone is just showing us the carrot all the time. The kind of being that we are, sometimes we need to be shown the stick. Does that make sense? Right? It's a balance between the carrot and the stick. Now, when we talk about fear, and you're learning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses fear, in the element of fear, while He is talking to humanity, which is a good thing, but taking it to an extreme, and sometimes we humans take it to an extreme where we're talking to a 6-year-old and we're talking about Jahannam. That is not right. There is a wisdom in delivering this concept, okay? In talking or in invoking fear in a person, it has to be done in a certain way, and there has to be balance. So you want to instill fear in a person, but you don't want to take away the hope from that person also. And unfortunately, this is what happens most of the times, that in the effort to instill fear in a person, we rob that person of all the hope that they may have from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the end result is what? They want to turn away completely. They don't want to do anything with faith. So it's a balance that we need to strive. Okay? So the characteristic that is listed of these people is that, yes, they were fearful. Okay? They were fearful of standing in front of their Rabb when sadness will overwhelm everyone on that day. They feared accountability. Okay? Certain people, certain people and majority of the people, they need to be taught to take account of themselves. And very few people have learned to take account of themselves. Like you have the statement of Umar radiallahu anhu. It's not a hadith, it's his statement, okay? Where he says, and it's very beautiful, you should write it down. He says that حَاسِبُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ قَبْلَ أَن تُحَاسِبُوا. Okay? Take account of yourself. Like you take account of yourself before you are taken account of, because you are going to be taken account of. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah Zilzal. How many of you have memorized Zilzal? Please tell me, all of you. Yeah. Alhamdulillah. Everyone has memorized Zilzal. So in Surah Zilzal, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, يَوْمَئِذٍ يَصْدُرُ النَّاسُ أَشْتَاتًا. Like on that day, humanity will gather in large crowds, أَشْتَاتًا لِيُرَوْا أَعْمَالَهُم, and for their deeds to be shown to them. All of our deeds will be shown to us. فَمَن يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ. Whoever does an ounce of good, he will see it. Atom worth of good, he will see it. فَمَن يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ. Whoever does an ounce of evil, an atom weight of evil, will see it too. Right? So that's the reality of our life in the hereafter. And some people, like we have our pious predecessors, the Sahabas, they lived through that scenario in their daily routine. They imagined standing in front of their Rabb for everything that they did. And that's why that fear motivated them to change their behavior. Okay? So and it is at the end of the day, it's for our own good. Whenever fear motivates you to change your behavior, normally it's for good things. For example, you feast on greasy food, right? But then if there is the fear of heart attack that is instilled in you, high cholesterol that is instilled in you, obesity that is instilled in you, if that fear is invoked, you're going to be forced to change your behavior, right? You're going to choose the right diet, the proper diet. It's the fear of robbery that forces us to lock the doors at night. If there was no fear, and if it was all carrots all the time, imagine what our state would be. How do you think so? If it was all carrots all the time, no stick? How do you think she's thinking something?
I don't know. I think if it was in carrots all the time,
Yeah, if it's carrots all the time.
then wouldn't people like go against it?
Go against what?
Like the rules or something? I don't know.
What do you think?
Like go.
I mean, honestly, I feel like if people are like, they don't have that fear of consequence, then like what Soha said, like they would go against the rules, like how like kids like these days, they want to be rebellious, they don't listen to the rules, they'll like stay out late or do like dumb illegal stuff. So if everybody's like just doesn't care, then
Yeah,
there'll be chaos.
so there'll be chaos, and how would we survive in a chaotic world, in a chaotic society? Just think about a society that does not have any rules and regulation, and there's no fear of consequences, right? There's no fear. We'll take out religion from this equation, and we had this discussion even before. It's the fear that actually motivates a person to behave in the right way. Okay, but having said that, we always want to make sure that that there is a balance, okay, in our approach to the element of fear. It cannot be fear, and be like, listen, your tongue is going to burn, or they're going to slice your tongue if you've spoken lies, or if you don't wear your hijab, then every strand of your hair is going to turn into snakes. Have you heard that? Oh my God. And then, so you know, you don't want to go to that extreme, right? You want to instill that fear, and I don't know, it's an art, I guess, but you want to instill that fear in a very loving way. Okay, and that requires wisdom. It requires time. It cannot happen overnight on the part of an adult. Like as a mother, as a teacher, if I want to instill the fear in my children of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right, in a healthy way, I have to understand first and foremost that it's going to take time, that there are going to be trials and errors, that I'm not going to just hit it on the first shot. It's not going to happen. Okay, so I have to be patient, right, with myself. I have to be patient with the person that I'm talking to. If I'm at school, then I'd be patient with my students, and if I'm at home, then I'd be patient with my kids, because everything is a process. Okay, nothing can be rushed into. When you rush into something, what happens? What happens when you rush into something?
You make mistakes.
You make mistakes, right? You make mistakes. So when we rush, especially when we're rushing into trying to convince someone of their practices, their faith practices, or trying to convince them of behaving in a certain manner, okay, especially with regards to faith, you want to be very careful, okay, because you don't want to break that connection that they have with faith, okay, and me pushing it, right? Me pushing it and constantly showing sticks, it doesn't help. And I think this is one of the biggest challenges that us adults face in today's time, and youth are the victim of this, because we're constantly throwing at our youth's face, say, listen, if you don't do this, you're going to be in Jahannam. If you don't do this, you're going to be roasting in this manner. Did you see that how a deer is being roasted? That's exactly how you're going to be roasted. No, we don't talk like that. Never talk like that. That language is not allowed. Okay? You want to help a person get to a certain level, and you want to do it with compassion, love, kindness, understanding that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has facilitated guidance for everyone. In time, and everybody is receiving that from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He's the only one who can grant it. I cannot force guidance on someone, right? Neither can anyone force guidance on me. And I think when we miss this point, that's when we begin to pressure people. Hey, listen, you have to do this, you have to do this. Just me saying it, hey, you have to do this, a person will not start doing it. And even if they do it, they're just going to do it maybe out of fear of me. Maybe my child would do it because of fear of me, but that's not what I want at the end of the day. At the end of the day, if anyone does anything, it's inna nakhafu min rabbina. We do it out of the fear of our Rabb. That is the goal. When you are trying to help someone or even yourself, whatever you do, it has to come because you fear the standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what is that? That Allah is going to punish me? No. The fear comes due to the embarrassment you may feel of not obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, despite everything that He has given you. That fear of embarrassment and that fear of shame, that is what should motivate us to change ourselves. Okay? As a result of that, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says? Because of that fear that operated within them, because of which they conducted themselves in a productive manner, right? In an effective manner. فَوَقَاهُمُ اللَّهُ شَرَّ ذَلِكَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected them from the evil of that. What that referring to the day, okay? Evil of that day. ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمِ وَلَقَّاهُمْ نَضْرَةً. And He granted them, all right? لَقَّاهُمْ. And He granted them نَضْرَةً. نَضْرَةً is the glow of your face on the day of judgment, all right? Those people that will be protected from the evil of that day, their faces will be illuminated. Okay, so and that's called nadra. All right, not to get into too much details, that's called nadra. And then surura. Surura is the joy in the heart. So your face and your heart, outwardly and inwardly, you will be exuding joy and happiness and pleasure. That is the consequence of being mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of being conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of being fearful of disappointing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, it's that fear that we want to focus on, that every day before I go to sleep, did I disappoint Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And we will disappoint Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't think that you will have a day or a night that you will not disappoint Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But this disappointment becomes a crime when we go to bed without doing istighfar. Okay, keep that in mind. That it becomes a crime when it becomes a sin. Your disappointing act becomes a sin only when you fail to do istighfar for it, sincere istighfar. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to turn back to Him with sincerity and genuineness, and may He protect us from the evil of our own selves. Okay, in these blessed nights of Ramadan, that's the dua we should be seeking from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Protect us from the evil of ourselves. All right? With this I conclude. Inshallah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Salamun ala al-mursaleen. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.